So I think it's about 6:35 and a half right now. We've got 25 people on board right now. And what I'd like to do, I am Kath Anderson, the president of Pastel Society. Thank you so much for joining in, tuning in, and having some time to just shed everything off and let some fantasy and whimsy into your life. And thank you, Lynn, for agreeing to be able to share what's going on upstairs with you. And I'm going to take it away. I'd love you to be able to introduce yourself, what it is you do. You've done a tremendous amount. One of the things, pointedly, is a co-founder of the society. And we are now, on year number 13? Because we're having our 13th annual member show. Come on. So take it away, Lynn.
Thank you. Well, one of the reasons, and Kiersey, you were talking about this, we needed to found a pastel society in Southern California is because there was not one. There was one in San Diego, there was one farther north, Gold Coast, but we didn't have anything in the LA area, which we could not believe since LA is one of the largest cities in the country. So 3 of us decided to co-found a pastel society 13 years ago, 2009. And look at it now, 260 plus members from all over the world. It's a family, we love it. Otto is one of our esteemed past presidents right there, wave Otto. And also Margaret Lindsay, and I was president for 5 years, and now Kath. So Kath's our 4th president. And it's just going gangbusters. And Otto came up with this themed Thursday idea with Dave Del Bianco, who's also here.
Hey, welcome, Dave.
About a year ago, right? Something about, I think it was about a year ago. And it's just been a smashing success because it's a way for us, even when we're back out in the world, it's a way for us to be together on Zoom in our own studios, working on our own work, getting some tips, techniques, and some demos, and just some new ideas. So the topic I selected for tonight is called Whimsy. And I kind of came about this in an unnatural way. So I was going about painting my pretty landscapes, and most of you know we have a cattle ranch with horses, and so I do a lot of ranch scenes up in the Central Coast, cows and horses, and I love animals. I have always loved animals. But I was going along doing my traditional representational art, and then 2 years ago, I got invited to participate in a very unique show, and it was called Are You Thinking What I'm Thinking? And this local journalist who writes for the Easy Reader and Peninsula Magazine decided he'd seen enough pretty art. And so he invited 40 artists from this area to take a challenge. And we had to spin a wheel and pick a fortune cookie. Wherever the wheel stopped, we pulled off the fortune cookie, and he had pre-stepped some themes. He had been thinking for years about all these fun themes that he could think of. And so I drew 7 days of sushi. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with that? That's not a traditional thing. And people got some really strange themes that they had to come up with, like waking up in my Halloween costume, which Bernard Townsend, one of our society members, had to do a painting about that. So this is pre-pandemic. We all went about painting. I'm going to show you some of my process. And then the pandemic hit. So it got delayed for 2 years, but in October, we had our first opening. And then we have a second opening. It moved to another venue in Palos Verdes. And this coming Saturday night, you're all invited at 4:30. Well, Carol, I don't think you're going to make it, but up at the Malaga Cove Library, you can come and see this very unique and fun show. Instead of honorable mentions, they're giving horrible mentions. And they're going to be super fun things like, the painting most likely to end up on your mother-in-law's wall or something like that, or just really fun things. So I kind of wanted to share my screen, and it got me thinking about doing some out of the box things. And so now I'm starting to think that way. I'm still doing my traditional art, but I am gearing myself towards some fun because I think we all need to have some fun after what we've been through the last couple of years. So I'm going to try to share my screen. I'm also going to show you some artists like Gigi. Thank you for bringing her name to me because I have some fun whimsical artists that I like as well. But let me start with my 7 days of sushi. See if I can show you this. So of course I had to start my research at my local sushi bar. Can everybody see this?
Looks good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I went down to Hoka Hoka and Redondo, and we had 2 months to do this painting. So we had to do a lot of research and think out of the box. And that got me thinking that you could really play and use your imagination. Think back to when you were a kid. When I was a kid, I would sit in the grass and my horses would be grazing and I would sketch my horses and I would dress my dog up in circus clothes and I had a little ramp and the dog did a little obstacle course. And I mean, if you think like a kid, you can have a lot of fun. Forget about the present troubles and go back. So I went to the sushi bar and I saw these sushi chefs and I started thinking about them like in a weird way, like you guys look like cats. I don't know why I started thinking that, but I started sketching furiously on my placemat and I came up with a bunch of concepts. And here's the one that I picked after all. I took the sushi bar and I made it pretty much what the sushi bar looked like, that big circle. I used a plate to kind of get a nice circle. I used the banner at the top. It started to become like a stage for me. So I sketched this out. It's not complete because not everything that's in the final painting is in this, but it was kind of like a roadmap. Then I did what Otto does after he makes a sketch and he wants to blow something up really big. Thank you, Otto, for all your tips and techniques. Because what I did next was I went down to the blueprint shop at FedEx and you can blow up your artwork to any size you want. And I wanted this to be a very large painting. So I chose a 24 by 36 surface. And I'm going to show you that I had a little tantrum. I went to Blix and I got some adhesive and I said, I'm going to have to mount this myself because I was home alone that weekend. And I tried to mount this very large piece of UArt paper onto this very large archival foam core using a sheet of adhesive. And look what happened. And I screamed and I ripped it off and I was just so upset. So I said, ditch that. And I ended up using spray mount, which I should have done in the first place because that's what Otto taught us to do. And then I was able to mount it myself. I don't recommend trying to mount such a large piece of paper yourself because it's really difficult to get it lined up. Somehow I got it lined up. The next step in the process, I kind of did a really messy value study. I mean, this is really messy, but I wanted to get a lot of contrast and I really wanted to focus on these two sushi chefs here, which I turned into cats, and they're feeding goldfish to their kitty clients. So I wanted to make sure I got it right. I did a little value sketch and then I decided because it was such a large piece of sanded paper, I didn't want to eat up all my pastels. Maybe if I had used pan pastels, it would have been better. But I decided to do a gouache underpainting. I don't know if any of you have used gouache, but it's a beautiful, colorful, opaque watercolor. I don't know what exactly is in it, but I started to just cover the whole surface with gouache. Can everybody see this okay?
Oh, yeah.
And that's on my kitchen table there because it was really large. It didn't really even fit in my studio at this point. So the next thing I did was, well, I think you can start to see this starting to take shape. After that, that's the final gouache painting. You can see it's just kind of a block in. There's not a lot of detail. And I knew that I would do the rest of it with pastel, but at least I got some of my tooth filled up because UArt paper has quite a bit of tooth. If you've worked on UArt, you know that. I don't know how many layers, but it takes a lot of layers. Then I started to have fun. This painting just started to paint itself. I don't know what happened, but this cat, which was my childhood kitty, came out of the woodwork. It just started creeping down from the shelf. I had a little photo of my cat. And next thing I know, the cat is creeping down the shelf. And I had so much fun because I just kind of like when you write a book and you let the characters just do what the characters are going to do. It started to write itself. It started to paint itself. I can't even explain it. I got into this really cool zone and I had more fun than I've ever had painting. Okay, and then this is the final piece. The other thing is I didn't know what I was going to do with the sushi bar, but somehow these goldfish appeared it wasn't a traditional sushi bar. It was an aquarium. And I started pulling reference photos of fish. These kitty cats were gray tabbies in my reference photos. I turned them orange. And I tried to replicate the banner up top, but I had to do fake hiragana. That's fake Japanese. Oh, somebody's trying to call me. Decline. Okay. Did that kick us out? Let me go back. And then here it is as a framed piece. And like I said, it's very large. And
nice frame.
It was exhibited, and they actually used this painting on the postcard the PV Art Center sent out to their thousands of clients to go to the show. And I was very flattered. It was a lot of fun to do. I put my little, I used to work at Nissan, and I had gotten this from one of my colleagues, one of these little kitties, and I made sake bottles, and I just had fun with it. I was really sad when it was all finished. So this is just one way you can think out of the box, is take a scene and start to just transform the characters in your scene. It could be a landscape. It could be, you know, a portrait. I've seen people turn into animals. There's a lot of whimsical artists that, you know, they'll take the Mona Lisa and they'll put like a mouse head on the Mona Lisa or something. You've probably seen some of those. And it's just a lot of fun. So that's my sushi cat story. Does anybody have any questions about that before I move on further from that?
Well, I would like to say that this particular painting has created a lot of discussion in the South Bay area. It's been a pleasure. We were at the reception, and actually I had asked some reporters that were in the area what was their favorite painting. And they said, it's the one with the cats and the sushi. And I said, would you like to meet the artist? I happen to know her very well.
So cute. So cute. Yeah, there's the postcard. That's the front of the postcard they used to send out. And I mean, there are so many adorable, funky paintings in this exhibit. So if you do get a chance to go by, if you're in the area, you live in the area, Malaga Cove Library this Saturday, the 26th at 4:30 to 6:30. You're going to see some really creative art, and you're going to walk around and want to read every single statement from the artist and how they came up with what they came up with. So it's a lot of fun. Thank you, Kath, for that. Now, I wanted to go back for a minute because I want you all to think about something maybe in your childhood or your youth that might inspire you. After this was all finished, my husband started bringing boxes up from the basement. And I totally put all this away. I didn't even remember that I did this because I wasn't an artist. I was a writer. I did a lot of art in high school, you know, because you had to back then. Everybody did art in high school back then. But my husband started dragging these boxes up out of the basement, and I started going through them. And believe it or not, well, I used to be Morris the Cat's press agent. Some of you might be too young to know who Morris is, but if you're old enough, if you're my age, you know Morris the Cat was one of the top spokes cats in advertising. And I worked for a PR firm. We worked with the Burnett ad agency. And I found all these sketches that I had done as reference photos for the photographer to promote Morris the Cat, because we did Adopt a Cat Month, Cat Health Month. We created all these programs with Morris for the public so they would have a relationship with this spokes cat. And that was one of my really terrible sketches. Look at those cats in the corner. Because I was like 22, 23 years old. And then here's the photographer's rendition of my sketch.
Look at that.
Wow.
I totally didn't even remember doing this. So that's what's so fun. So I want you guys to think back to something maybe in your life that might have inspired you in a fun way that you can bring into your art. Here I am. Oh, how young I was. We took Morris to the Broadway production of Cats, and with the Cats cast, and we had a whole big press conference. And I mean, it was just like the paparazzi were everywhere taking pictures of Morris attending the cat's production.
That's-
Here's another one, another sketch I found. Please forgive the really crude art here, primitive art. But I had this idea for Adopt a Cat Month. We worked with animal shelters to have a whole balloon day. So I sketched this out, and then lo and behold, we had some really talented photographers.
So, I mean, I have to, sorry to interrupt, Lynn, but it's
Yeah.
actually working. Your whimsy is working, because I actually had a vision of the fish in the stream with balloons saying adopt a cat.
That's perfect, because the fish, save the fish. Well, see, I mean, and it's silly, and it's just silly. Look at the little tie at the bottom of the balloons. It reminds me of Curious George, right? With the balloon man. So anyway, I had a lot of fun finding some of these old pictures. I'm really going out on a limb here showing you guys this. I'm like 20 something. Haven't changed a bit, right? And there I am with Morris.
That's
And we even ran Morris for president. Leo Burnett came up with an ad agency to run Morris for president. And here I am making some more sketches. Morris for cats, vote for cats, Adopt a Cat Month. And then we actually took Morris to the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. And we ran Morris for president. And I hired Eleanor Mondale to be his campaign manager. And here he is. This is like in the New York Times. I mean, it was all over the press, everywhere. It's one of those like Pat Paulson tongue-in-cheek kind of programs, you know, and here's our little buttons. I still have all these. I'm going to donate these to the Morris Museum. So anyway, I think everybody has something in their past or in their present that can get them out of the box thinking. And you really do have to be like a kid in a sandbox and play, which means you have to put away all the things that are troubling you, you know, whether it's the pandemic or the war going on in Russia and Ukraine or whatever it is. Just like for an hour, sit down and think about the fun things. Look at a picture of you as a younger person or a child and think about the things you were thinking about and try to do some creative exercises to get yourself kind of into a different zone. Here, I went to the Gene Autry Museum the other day to see the Masters of the American West. This just made me chuckle so much. Chris, you saw this. Let me get that bigger. Look at the sculpture. It's a reclining nude. Reclining nude by Mick Dellinger. I just got the hugest kick out of that. That's whimsy for sure, right?
Oh, yeah.
That was a squirrel, right? Not a beaver.
Yes.
Yeah, squirrel.
Squirrel.
Yeah.
I got a different view of it here. I mean, it was quite large. Here he is. She. This is a she. Oh man.
That's awesome.
We need to laugh, I think. We need to laugh more. Okay, let's go back and see. All right, so ever since the sushi cat picture, and I got a lot of positive feedback, I started thinking about what else can I do? And my newest, I've been working on this one for a while. I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do, but one day my horses were just laying down in the grass and they looked like they were having a coffee clutch. So Carol, like you went and got your coffee, I just pictured them sitting there with some coffee cups between them on a picnic blanket. And I've done a bunch of color studies of this one, but I haven't quite figured out. So I sketched it quickly. There's this little sketch where I put the little coffee cups and the picnic blanket in there. I didn't really want to put hats or anything on him. One of the rules we always have with Morris is you could put Morris in situations, but you couldn't put any clothing or hats or anything on Morris because he was a dignified cat, right? So I'm trying to come up with ways to make this fun. Here's kind of my no tan or black and white sketch of it. but I actually haven't worked out the color scheme or if this is exactly what I'm going to do. So I haven't actually painted this one yet, other than to do 4 different color studies of it. Do you guys have any ideas?
I got an idea for you.
Yes.
Why don't you put 2 little saucers there with the coffee, and instead of donuts, put apples on there?
Oh, that's so cute. I'm writing that down. That's really cute. Yeah, they love apples and they love carrots. Kathleen, you did the most amazing painting of carrots. If you guys haven't seen her carrot painting, wow. Reminded me of the horses. Thank you, Chris.
I'm working on another one.
You are? Okay. You're going to be doing a theme Thursday, right, Kath?
I haven't committed.
Well, we're going to commit you pretty soon. We would like you to do one. Here's a couple of other, this is another idea I have, and these might not be that funny, but somehow it struck me funny. My dog loves to watch TV. Edson watches the TV, Tessa. And I had been to Europe in 2018, and I was amazed at how many dogs were featured in classical paintings in the Louvre and everywhere we went. So this one is called Museum of Modern Dog. And it's a famous painting that I don't even know what the name of this painting is, but I'll show you the reference photo in a second. As soon as I hope I'm not going too fast. Trying to cover a lot. So here is this famous painting. I don't know if any of you have seen it. It's a giant painting, and I just took one corner. This dog, the way he's staring out at the audience, at the viewer, is just amazing. So I have my dog watching TV, but as if the dog is looking at the painting in the museum. So I'm going to do something with that and call it Museum of Modern Dog. So when I sketch, I actually put the title that I'm thinking of in my sketchbook, so I don't forget. And then the one I'm working on right now, I did the sketch in my sketchbook. It said, "Gossip talk, my ears are burning." I have these photos when I went to the Wild Mustang and Burro Center in Ridgecrest. All of these animals are up for adoption. There's 1,000 animals that need a home. It's really kind of sad. But these donkeys, these burros were like gossiping, and this guy's ears were burning. So I sketched it out. During the last theme Thursday or the one before, I was sketching while you guys were working. And I changed some things. I moved this guy a little closer. These burros have huge heads when they turn their head to the side. They've got a big, broad head. Let's see if I can get out of that one. There we go. I'll show you the reference photo. So this is what I'm working on behind me tonight. And I'm just going to work on it a little bit. I'm just getting it all blocked in, but anyway, I'm going to call them the old biddy burros. You know what a biddy is? Biddies are like old gossiping ladies. And this poor guy's ears are burning because they're talking about her. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl, but they're talking about her. So that's kind of what I'm working on. I do want to show you a few of my favorite artists, and then I want us all to paint and maybe talk about some other ideas for how to loosen up. This is one of my favorite artists. Her name, this is so funny. I just love this. Now her name is escaping me. Her name is Lydia. Anyway, I'll find it. It's in my thing. But anyway, she's got all these really funny. She's an oil painter, but she puts animals in these really hilarious positions. I just love that dog with the curlers in her hair. Her name is, here's another one. You guys are it's Lucia. It's Lucia Heffernan. You may have seen this one. This one's pretty famous. Have any of you seen this one before?
Mm-hmm.
I just love that. The cat is looking in the mirror and sees a tiger.
Great.
And then the last one. She's got hundreds and hundreds of original pieces, and every single one is sold, but she does prints as well. These are pool ducks, pool party, going to a pool party. I mean, some people might think it's like kitschy or whatever, but this is the kind of stuff that people want to buy when you go looking for stuff for your homes, sometimes for a kid's room or for whatever. These are the kind of fun things that people like. This one is a really famous one. This was done in, it's kind of small, sorry. It's done in like 1894. The dogs playing poker. It was a whole series. Do you guys remember that?
Mhm.
I walked into a gallery one time and saw these dogs playing poker, and it just really, really cracked me up. Okay, I think that's pretty much all I have, except for this is the postcard for the show this weekend that I was talking about. And this is Bernard Fallon's painting. They used it on the second postcard, and it's Waking Up in My Halloween Costume is the name of his painting. Began with imaginative titles, concealed inside fortune. Oh, and they also composed songs around each painting. So each painting has a song with lyrics. They had 2 years during the pandemic, so they could come up with this kind of stuff. All right, well, that's everything I have in my little library to share with you. And
So Lynn, I did have a question regarding the reception. You said that there were more artists than what was shown up at the PV Arts Center before. Are there there were newer artists that were brought in?
They added 5 or 6 new artists since the first showing in October. So Bridget Duffy, who's a member of our society, is in it. Joy Gonzalez, who's our membership chair. Bernard Fallon. Several other Pastel Society folks are in it. And it's going to be a really fun show. Bernard and I are emceeing, actually. I don't know where Bernard is tonight. He must be rehearsing or something. But does anybody have any questions about anything having to do with imagination or whimsy or thinking out of the box or?
Well, Lynn, one of the things, if you don't mind, is that that piece, and I totally understand why Kath was saying that it got so much attention, is because what I tell my students is that if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. And so when an artist pours himself into a painting, you can see that they're having fun. You see that they're enjoying it. It shines, it shows, it comes through the painting. It absolutely does. And so I think that's why that piece is such a fun piece. One of the most, possibly one of the most notable artists who does whimsy is Norman Rockwell. And so when you say, well, is whimsical art fine art and whatnot? Well, Norman Rockwell, the epitome of illustrator / fine artist / and look what he did. He told a narrative, unlike few others, where he could hit home runs, and just by taking all that nostalgia and taking the sign of the times, and he made light of it, like you were saying. Do things that are whimsical so that you can helps you forget, but sometimes it helps you deal with the current situations, and so it just livens your spirit and it lifts your mood and it shines through the painting. So I just want to say, congratulations on that. I'm glad you're doing that.
Thank you. It was super fun. It almost turned out like a stage. It was very theatrical, like the banner at the top and the sushi bar table at the bottom. It almost came out like you're watching a production on a stage in a theater setting. And I didn't intend for that to happen. It just happened. So sometimes it just clicks, right? That makes up for all the 50 other paintings you have to throw in the trash.
I love the way you had the cats sitting on the, bar stools and the big long tank in front of them. And it's like they were watching the fish, which is what a cat would do.
I used to have a fish tank.
That's whimsy. I love it.
Thank you.
That for me was a focal point.
Thank you. And that, like I said, just came out after I was almost finished with the painting. Part of it was I didn't know how to draw the sushi bar with, the dead. I didn't want to draw the dead fish.
Yeah.
That's why I made them alive. I don't know. But
I mean,
that
perfect
surprised
for
me.
a cat would eat them alive. Right.
So what about you guys?
I hope to see some whimsical paintings entered into our member show.
Yeah.
That would be very nice. I mean, as you all know, we don't have to wait for our pastels to dry, so we should be able to get something done and submitted and entered in, and looking forward to seeing the artwork coming in.
And Otto, you wanted to tell us a little bit about, Otto's got a virtual workshop coming up and an actual workshop coming up. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? So
Right. So yeah, well, thank you. Right. I'm teaching a UArt sponsored workshop, and that's coming up on the April 21st to the 23rd. It's a 3-day workshop, and we'll be having that in Redondo Beach, which is at RUMC, and where we have our regular meetings, our PSSC meetings. So if anybody wants to join the workshop, I have we're getting a little bit of feedback, you guys. Well, there we go. So if anybody would like to participate in the workshop, we are doing quite a few exercises. It's an approach to the classic still life, but there's so much more to that because I'm using a lot of the contemporary techniques that I've used for the past 25 years as an illustrator. And so I promise you we'll have fun. The other thing is I'll be doing a one day virtual workshop, which is going to be concentrating solely on the underpainting. And that one is to be determined. I was hoping to have it in March, but I'm a little behind with where I'm working on the Disney project right now. So may move that to May. So stay tuned, and thank you, Lynn, for letting me announce that.
And Otto, how can we sign up for the UArt workshop?
For the UArt workshop, I have if you go to sturkstudio.com, that's STURCK, sturkstudio.com, you can go to workshops and it'll have the link there. But UArt also, if you're not getting a newsletter, if you're not signed up for their newsletter, you can sign up for UArt's newsletter, and it tells you when the workshops and where. So, for instance, Lisa Ober is having a workshop in St. Louis, and so she's doing pet portraits. So there's a lot of fun UArt workshops. Again, if you sign up for the UArt workshop, you get some goodies. UArt is always great at that. They give you a paper, or they give you the mounted boards, which are spectacular, which are the ones I love to work on. They give you a few other things, and so it's always a plus. So again, you can go onto my website, you can go to UArt. We have a couple of people who have signed up, so thank you guys for signing up. Again, it's been a long time. It's been over 2 years since I've taught a workshop, so I'm excited to have you guys join us in this workshop.
We're excited.
Otto, if you would please go ahead and put that into the chat, the information in the chat, and Christina also, with your workshops that are coming up, go ahead and put your information in the chat.
All right, thank you.
Oh, and one more thing I wanted to say is because so many people have wanted the Sushi Cat prints, and I've sold quite a few of those. I have it on fineartamerica.com. So if you go to fineartamerica.com and you can search for my name, Lynn Attig, and you can even order a coffee mug. I got my daughter a Sushi Cat coffee mug because she loves sushi and she loves cats, and you can order merchandise. So anyway, and if you artists want to sell some of your work, I really like fineartamerica.com because you don't have to do anything. You upload your high-res photo, and then people can order prints. They can order fine art prints, and they can order merchandise like shower curtains and bedspreads and pillows and coffee cups and phone cases, all kinds of stuff. So I just think it's another way for us to take the beautiful work that we spend so much time making and get it out there and maybe make some money back on our materials. And anyway, I don't hear people talking about merchandising too much, but since that was my background in marketing, I really think it's important to kind of try to merchandise what we do. You can sell the original piece, but if you have a beautiful scan of it, if you get somebody who does that professionally, or you can take a good picture of it, with the iPhones nowadays, you can get a pretty high res photo even with an iPhone.
I see the
Anyway.
coffee mugs with the cats on it, Lynn.
Yay! So anyway, there's a little shameless promotion, but you guys get your work out there, and it's free to go on Fine Art America and upload your pictures so people can buy them. I see somebody in the chat. Dasha.
Dasha's
said-
here.
She-
Hey,
Oh,
Dasha.
happy birthday,
Happy
Dasha.
birthday. She's
Oh,
with us for her
happy
birthday.
birthday.
Are you still there, Dasha?
She is. She's got her emblem with the Red Rock.
Okay.
Dasha has joined us, the president of Red Rock Pastel Society of Nevada. Thank you, Dasha.
Happy
Feliz
birthday to you.
cumpleaños.
Hey, I have one more member here. Anya is here too. Let me find out how I can switch. Sorry. I don't know how to switch the camera. Sorry.
Okay, we're flattered you're joining us on your birthday.
Yeah. So I have an art opening and a solo show.
Oh,
She's having a solo show and she's there right now.
wow.
Nice.
Where is it, Dasha?
It is in Las Vegas, Alpha Voyage Gallery. Yeah, I have 22 plus 2 pieces. So.
Congrats.
Yeah, and hopefully
nice.
we're gonna have our Red Rock Red Show here too. It's what is coming up. So guys, I will tell more about that, but it's Miss Cap asked me to drop by, and I want to thank everyone for like giving head start to Red Rock, and Miss Lynn and Miss Cap too, and Otto for being so supportive. So
Oh, you look lovely.
We'll be able to see it online.
yes, I can. Yeah, I will send you a link. Yeah, my
Can you
show
put
is
it in the-
available.
Can you
And
put it in the chat?
Here is Anne. She's also, we both members of both societies anyway, so I cannot talk very well, apparently.
Oh, that's great. If you can put it in the chat, then we can look at it online. That'd be
Yeah,
great.
yes, I will. I will put it in the chat in a second. So
Okay. Have a great birthday.
thank you, Lynn. Love your sushi series. I remember you talking about them last time we painted together and sang Sweet Caroline. I have people, yeah, I do remember that moment. You, me, and Otto were painting, and you were talking about the beginning of this series.
That's
So
right.
yeah, and Otto weren't painting. He became president. So, like, when you're becoming president, you don't have time to paint. I know that. For the reason, you don't have much time to paint. Okay, so I still keep trying, but yeah. Yeah, also we're cleaning his pastels, and I have few people from Iowa here, so we know Sweet Caroline. Like in Iowa, people jump on the tables and sing Sweet Caroline. So I
That's
have
right.
that memory really bright in my head. Yeah, like so. Okay, guys, can you do Sweet Caroline like Iowa people together? Can you do Sweet Caroline for me? Jeff, you do Sweet Caroline?
Yes.
No? No. Anyway, not gonna be Sweet Caroline, but I have people from Iowa and they know what I'm talking about.
We're glad you stopped by. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
joining us.
And thank you guys for everything. Thank you, Lynn, for everything. I cannot say it often enough. Thank you, Kev, for joining us always. And I'm gonna send you a note about our upcoming shows too, and awesome things you have going on Thursdays. Very fun. So congrats,
Wonderful.
guys.
Thank you, Dasha.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
You guys, we can paint tonight. If you have painting to do, we can work on some of our work. We still have quite a bit of time left, right? It's 7:15.
We do.
I might work a little bit on my Biddy Burrows over here gossiping about their little friend. And if anybody wants to share anything they're working on, we would love to see. Kathleen, you said you're working on another carrot painting? Or I want to see this. Let's see. Oh, goodness.
Oh,
Can you
nice.
see- Can you see it?
Yeah.
There.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's amazing how you're getting the form on those.
So this one, in the other one, the carrots are more dynamic. But in this one, the carrots are static. So I kind of punched up the color a little bit.
Oh,
That
nice.
is really amazing.
And you did the texture, Kathleen? Did you?
What I'm doing right now is using up, not buying anything. I'm using up paper that I have laying around and old paintings that I don't like, I wash out. And so this was just some paper that I had that I didn't really like. It's some Richardson paper and it's orange. It starts out orange. And I don't really like it as much, but I thought, well, I'll just use it and see how it works. So it works well for the carrots.
That's great. And her first one is on Instagram. If you follow Kathleen, you'll see
I-
her first.
I can show the first
Yeah,
one.
that one's very
Love to see it.
whimsical. That one's
that-
whimsical to me, the way they're all just kind of scattered there.
That's the first one.
Yeah, amazing. Such a simple subject rendered so beautifully.
Oh, so Kathleen, what was your motivation for carrots? What happened that day?
I thought, what am I going to do today? I didn't have any ideas, and I had these carrots, so I took them outside. I have a wooden table out on our back porch, and I just kind of threw them down on the back porch and on the table, and took some pictures of them in different, So it was pretty sunny, so that's why it has the the heavy shadows, because it was outside in the sun.
Mm.
And
Oh, nice.
so
So nice.
Well,
like,
how easy is that, right? Just, I don't think I would have thought about throwing carrots outside, but thank you. Now I have permission.
Anybody else want to share what they're working on? Hi, Chris. I see Chris Ober's here too. You're
Yeah.
always working right in the background.
Oh, unmute Christine.
Oh, we can't hear you. Sorry. Christine,
You need to unmute.
sorry. We see the
Okay.
mouse moving.
Okay, so now you can hear me. Okay, actually, I have something in the other room, but it's a graphite piece that I was working on for Carol Oakley's, let's see, what's Art Society, Online Art Society. Yeah, and so I have it finished now, and so I'm gonna probably get that posted. Yeah, and I'll send you a copy. So, Carol. Yeah.
Yay. Wow, Carol, what are you working on? Still doing clouds or?
Just want to say thank you to Christine. She's just been a star this month for us and
Nice.
showing us her graphite. And I'm so looking forward to seeing this finished one she's doing. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll send it to you this evening.
Okay, thank you.
And Chris, go ahead, Carol.
Yeah, you asked what I've been working on. I smiled before when you said when you're a president of a pastel society, you don't paint much. I hadn't painted for the last 2 years, but I stopped being president just before Christmas. So now I'm going to start painting. So what am I working on? Nothing yet.
The wheels are churning though, right?
Oh yeah, got lots of ideas. Yeah.
Yay.
And
Yay.
what you said today, Lynn, that was really good because I'm harping back to something I did probably about 10 years ago. And I had in my mind I was going to paint these grass trees, and I don't know if you guys know what they are. They used to be called black boys, but their proper name is Xantheria, and they're on a stick, and then they've got lots of very fine, let's call them leaves like needles, but they can grow up to 50 foot tall over 1,000 years. They're so slow and old. I find them really intriguing. And this particular day, I was going up the studio to paint them. And as I'm walking up, I'm thinking, they got socks on. And I got there and I thought, well, let's just put some coloured socks on these Xantherias. And then I thought, well, that one looks like it's a king. So it got the crown, and then off I went. So what you were saying earlier, I'm just thinking back to that going, yeah, I had so much fun with that.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Well, and
So-
trees do have whimsy. I mean, if you look at some trees, they're just there to entertain us. There are some really whimsical trees. One that looks like a ballerina dipping over on my drive every day. And trees have a life of their own. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got one down the road that's got a growth on the side and it looks like an elephant.
Oh, I love how you're thinking.
We're all
That's
artists.
That's awesome. Does anybody else have anything fun they want to share about? I mean, maybe these are dreams that you have when you're taking a sleeping pill or something. I don't know, but where does it come from? Where does your creativity come from?
Oh, gosh.
Come on, unmute and share.
Well, I mean, having little ones, helps because, they'll see me sketching something and then all of a sudden they want to participate in that sketch and not on their own. They want to participate on mine. So, I'll draw something and then all of a sudden I'm like, all right, you finish it. And then when I come back, it's hysterical, So I might have been sketching somebody, sitting on a park bench and all of a sudden it's some sort of alien waiting for a bus or something, or it's kooky what they do to my drawings. So they'll just snicker, right? They'll just be laughing. And so all of a sudden you get these, something that you thought, I would have never sketched that. And all of a sudden you see it's like, oh, well, that's actually kind of funny. How can I incorporate that in something or other? But yeah, a lot of it could probably comes from what you were saying is if you can think like a child, the creativity will come.
That's like a paint around that they do at IAPS where somebody starts a painting and then someone else works on it and another artist works on it. And by the time it gets back, it's unrecognizable, right?
Right.
So,
And well, I was just gonna say real quick, Picasso, right? Famous quote, and I'm gonna paraphrase because again, as famous as it is, like I don't know it word for word, but he basically said that it took him all his life to learn how to paint like a child, and that was his thing. Now, I mean, if you don't know about Picasso, Picasso was a realist. He was academically trained, and then he started breaking apart from that, and then started going to Cubism and so forth, and some of these, these abstract paintings. But I find it real curious that that's one of the things that he said. One of the things that he's really known for as far as his statements. That
not everybody knew that. Not everybody knows that. We saw an exhibit in Europe of Picasso's early work, and it was straight up, portraits and serious stuff. He did the circus people, but then he also did the brothel stuff. That was like the X-rated part of the museum. You had to be an adult to go in. But yeah, he didn't get to that other stuff until later.
Yeah.
And he did. He probably thought like a child, right? So.
I mean, so funny story. Salvador Dali. I mean, you guys familiar with the whimsy of Salvador Dali? Did you know that Disney hired him for some projects, but Salvador Dali couldn't get enough of Walt Disney's house, and so Walt Disney had a train built in his yard, and Salvador Dali. Keep in mind this train is not very big, but Salvador Dali would come just so that he could ride his train. And so if you can imagine an adult basically sitting on one of these little red wagons or something like that. And so there's a picture of Salvador Dali crouched on this train riding around in Walt Disney's yard. So, and so, again, if you read up on Salvador Dali and how, his childlike antics just rejuvenated much of his creations when he was having troubled times. So
melting clocks and everything.
Yeah, some melting clocks.
Yeah.
And,
The wings.
Very whimsical mustache.
Yeah. One of the things we did in a workshop we took with PSSC, I'm trying to remember who it was. You can just, I gotta grab this. You can just like start making an abstract design on a piece of paper with a black marker and then respond to it. So just, put down some marks and then start creating something out of it. Actually, they used to do that with kindergartners too, when I worked in the kindergarten class. So that's a way to get you started loosening up. If you don't know where to start and you just want to do some art warm-up exercises, just try that. take a black marker and then see what develops out of it. It's a really fun exercise.
That's one of the things that's been happening, you know, when I paint out, you know, like I have these old paintings that, you know, I don't like anymore or whatever, and I start painting them out. And then it mushes it up, and then I look at it and I see, okay, what does it remind me of now? And I go from that, and, you know, and paint from that, you know.
You turn
Sometimes
it upside down. You can even
Yeah.
turn it upside down and start something
it
new.
turns into a whole different thing.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Anybody else
I
have any
got-
ideas?
I got a little story for you about, it's a whimsy thing I did. It was kind of surreal too, but like about a year ago, I was bored out of my mind, you know, because of the pandemic, like everybody else. And I'd had this idea brewing in my head. And I might have already mentioned this earlier, but I went down and took a picture of the Queen Mary, and I created this image where you see the sand, the beach, and there's two little kids walking across kind of with their backs to us. And then behind them is a lifeguard tower station with a seagull sitting on top of it. And behind that, the ocean's all stormy and there's stormy clouds. And the Queen Mary has plowed up onto the beach behind the lifeguard tower, like it crashed into the shore, and it's just sitting there, and it's just kind of weird. Yeah. So anyway, that was just a kind of a fun thing I did just for fun.
So
That's
you
great.
sketched this? Did you envision this and then just sketch it, or what?
Well, I envisioned, my initial idea or concept was, I thought it would be kind of weird or surreal to have an image of the bow of a huge ship, like a battleship or something, plowed up onto the beach in the South Bay, right?
Mm.
And with a lifeguard tower in front of it, just to kind of add some story and weirdness. And I went down to the LA Harbor looking for a ship to photograph, and I couldn't get close to any military stuff, but I could get to the Queen Mary, and there was nobody there because of the pandemic. The place was deserted. So I would just walked around and photographed it.
That's
And
great.
then I did a bunch of Photoshopping and put this image together from other images that I had of the beach and the kids and whatnot. I just kind of composed it all together. That's kind of how it came together. And I'm gonna, one of these days, I'm gonna do a painting of it. Right now it's a photographic kind of thing, but I'm gonna do a pastel of it. I
Well,
think
it's
that'll
so whimsical. I think that's great. It sounds so whimsical, you know, and
Yeah.
have the seagull looking down at the kids, and meanwhile, here's this beach, gigantic vessel.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? Great.
So everybody, I'm all for opening up another section of our curating for our members show. We'll have the whimsical section, you know.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, so, but I better get the okay from our exhibition chair.
Yeah.
Well,
Sounds
you know,
fun.
And
What
we're
is
gonna
it?
have Chris, we're gonna have you do a Photoshop class for us sometime, because that is one way that you can put images together. I mean, you can sketch them together, but if you know how to use Photoshop, you can take different images and plop them together a little easier. And I know,
Oh, yeah.
you know it. Chris,
You
know
can
it.
easily move elements around and kind of recompose your image where needed, if you know, and make changes, and then you can paint from that, you know.
Mhm.
Or if you're a good drawer like I am not, you could just draw that. But, you know, I rely on my other skills.
Well, one of the things that, because again, when it comes to whimsical, typically there's a narrative there, right? You know, and again, which is kind of neat, because what we're going to do is in the next theme Thursday, we're going to be talking about creating the narrative. Now, one of the things Dave and I are very familiar with, and that is because of working as illustrators, working for Disney, there's always a story. There's the whimsy always has to be there for the most part, right? But if you really want to be able to, if you want to do whimsy, I think one of the best things you can do is look at editorial cartoons. Some of the best cartoons don't even have some sort of, you know, bubble, right? There's little to be said sometimes. It just, all you have to do is look at this thing with it, and you instantly read it, and you can see it. Sometimes there's you know, there's these second, what do you call them, Dave? We're talking about, and I say this because when we were at Associate Start, there were so many classes on editorial cartoons, narratives, creating the narrative. And so it was really, really neat. So again, if you want to work on whimsical pieces, sometimes the best thing to do is just look at editorial cartoons and see how much an artist can say without using words. It's pretty phenomenal.
Like
I think
the New
that's a
Yorker.
great idea.
Yeah, the New Yorker has some really great, I mean, a lot of them are political, but they have some great cartoonists that work for that magazine. And what are some other places to go see those, Otto?
Well, what, editorial cartoons? Shoot, there's, I think if you go to the Society of Illustrators, I think they have a couple links to some of these archived editorial cartoons. But I once belonged to the Society of Illustrators years ago, and but I'm assuming their website is still up. But I mean, all you have to do is look up Far Side. If you guys are familiar with that, the Far Side.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say the Far Side. That was my favorite.
The Far Side is hysterical.
That's what you were gonna say too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the Far Side, and
So funny.
but and so there is. I'm trying to remember the artist name. I'm going blank, but
Laughing.
If you find it,
Absolutely.
you can put it in the chat for us, Otto, if you find it.
okay. Let me look at
We
it.
can-
Let me look at it.
Is the cartoon the name of the guy Larson?
Is it Larson?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
so.
that's right.
Okay, let me look it up.
Yeah, because they're timeless.
Gary Larson, right? Gary Larson. Yes. Oh, so funny. And it's almost all animals, right? And I was thinking, I wanted to show you guys a video tonight. I took a video of my dog. She bites her fingernails. And literally, this is the same dog that's watching TV. Last night, she was lying on her back and she is literally like chomping upside down on her dew claw or whatever that is.
Huh.
And it's like, you are biting your nails. Like, how many dogs bite their nails? So now I am going to have to do a painting about a dog biting their fingernails or something, or I don't know, or picking their nose or something funny, because that's just, if you look for humor, if you're open to humor in your life and you walk around and think about it, and I know that means you have to get rid of all the junk we've been dealing with, but if you can just get yourself into a humorous state, watch a funny show, look at cartoons. Thank you, Otto. Did you put it in there?
I did. In fact, if you click on that, you're gonna get a real kick, especially you vegetarians. You're gonna get a real kick if you click on that. If you click on that, you should. They have a cartoon every. This is from 1998. And
You're all like, you're talking to me.
so,
That's a great one. I'm gonna have to save that one. Thank you. That's hilarious. Al's meets Noreen.
So
They stare at each other.
I mean, there's one that he's got that I've just stays in my mind forever. And there's all these deer and they're standing around on their back legs in the paddock and they're all got arms on hips and they're having a good chat. And there's one of them's got this great big lot of circles on his chest.
Oh, it's
The
like,
comment is, bummer of a birthmark, hell.
Target.
maybe that's where our humor comes from. We grew up on the Far Side, right? What about some of the things, Kelsey, you're younger. What are some of the things that you think are funny in your age group? I mean, we've got some common community collections here, but what do you guys think is funny?
You know what? I'm not hip, but no, I think that a lot of it is just like a lot of it. If you look at like the sense of humor of people my age, it's like a lot of memes, just TikTok
Yeah.
and Snapchat and Twitter, and it's just all like, I mean, that's where you're gonna find our sense of humor is in the feed of a Twitter profile. I mean, it's just very strange.
The memes are really funny, huh?
Yeah, the memes, yeah,
Favorite
the memes.
meme?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't even know. I'm not good on that one.
No, there's-
So, Kiersey, is it, correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't you the biology major or you're doing something in the
Yeah.
sciences there? So what's the humor around the microscope these days?
About around what?
The microscope.
The microscope.
humor in the microscope.
We've got the water cooler. You guys, I just, see all of you, there must be something to talk about with the bacteria or the,
I don't.
we'll have to find some. We can find some.
I need to learn it too, I guess. I guess I'm a little bit unplugged from the comedy of the science. But no. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a very good answer for that. I don't know. We're an age of memes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Age of memes.
Yes.
Stealing the humor from each other and passing it around.
Yeah.
Like you take something that's funny from someone else and then you turn that into your humor.
Well, that's what a meme is, right? It's like a cultural recognition, something similar between that only right? Because you live in that same community or culture that
Right.
other people wouldn't understand, right? It's like an inside joke.
Yeah.
I
But
know.
on an enormous scale.
Yeah. Wow. So Otto, when is your Theme Thursday on the narrative? It's coming up.
That's, let's see, I believe it is March 10th.
So
I think
that's
it
the
is the
next Theme
10th.
Thursday then. That's in 2
Next
weeks.
one coming up.
Yes.
Yes, March 10th.
I'm looking forward to that. That's
Yeah.
gonna be great.
March 10th.
And-
So, yeah, and we're, we're gonna talk about, I'll talk about why I mentioned this last thing Thursday, why I really enjoy telling a narrative and how I usually, like you, it seemed like you do too, Lynn, that you typically have a title before you have an actual painting.
Yeah.
So the story comes before the artwork. So typically the story and the title are created, and then I begin creating the sub stories, right? Whether through light, through texture, composition, whatever it might be. But there's always stories within stories. And so we're gonna cover some ground, and we're gonna look at some of the narratives from artists from 500 years ago to the present, and how some of those paintings became so famous because of the narrative. So why are narratives important? Even and I'm not just talking about still lifes, because you can there are narratives in environmental paintings and in in portraiture, in landscapes. So there's a lot, and even if it could be as simple as the narrative can be a high key painting, So there's again, how much of a story do you want to tell, and sometimes the narrative can be very simple. So, but it gets the point across, or some of them can be hidden narratives, where you really have to search into the painting to look for the story, and that seems to intrigue me. But we're going to cover some ground, because it's not just about the story itself, but also how you can tell a story through color and composition.
And it would be great, Otto, if you can talk about titles of paintings, because sometimes the painting doesn't stand without the title, because you need the title to kind of enhance what you're seeing.
Correct.
So
Correct.
you can talk about intriguing
Some-
title.
Some artists don't see titles as important. Others see them as very crucial. I'm one of those artists who believe that the title is very important, because it's part of my process. So again, there's a lot of artists who have untitled pieces, untitled 1, untitled 2, untitled
Where
3.
you see that in museums.
So, but again, you can, as a juror, as a judge, sometimes the title can make the difference, because I see the painting, I say, oh, that's really nice, but then I read the title, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, wow, okay,
So fun.
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes it could anyway, when it comes to awards, it might make a difference. It might, because
So I mean, basically out of question then. So you're saying that the title then can be part of that narrative. The title is incorporated.
yes,
in the
absolutely,
narrative,
absolutely.
just as much even the framing enhancing the painting.
Well, I think a perfect example of a mistitled piece would be, if you are a landscape artist, for instance, and you titled your piece "Noon in July," right? And the sun in your painting is very low for it to be noon in July, right? We know that the sun is very high in July, at noon. So if it's very low, then obviously you use the wrong reference, or you put your sun at a very different. So again, I mean, if stuff like that, right? So I remember, I can't remember what
Oh,
artist.
no,
was
wait a
judging.
minute, Alaska, those northern territories.
And Australia. New July, it's winter.
Noon in July. I don't know. Is there a low sun anywhere?
But you're right,
July?
you're right. It's the wrong time of the year. Maybe it has to be in the other hemisphere, but I totally get that,
So
I get
That was a dumb save.
Well, you know what, Carol? Where is the sun in July? In your part of the country?
Yes, it's winter. It's very low. It's very
Yeah,
low.
look at that. So maybe,
Yes, it could have been
right?
an Australian painting.
All right. Is that correct?
At,
You
at
never
our
know,
upcoming
right?
show, when the judge judges the paintings, we are going to have just the title of on each painting. So as he judges it, he can see what the title is.
We should have fun one day. Just do an exhibit and just have the title separate and
And see if they can match them up.
Try to start matching the titles with the
Like a
paintings,
map
right?
game?
That'll be a fun
Matching
exercise. That'll be a fun exercise.
That would be fun, and then you could win an award for whoever gets the most
Who
matches.
gets the most correct?
Yeah, I love it. Now you're thinking like a child, Otto. See?
That's
Love
good.
it. It'll be fun.
We'll have 10 secret paintings, 10 secret titles, and artists, we can have people try to guess, and the one who gets the most correct gets the prize.
And we can take off on Bondo's idea, and we could give people a title and have them paint something.
Have something that,
Right.
Okay,
like
these
it's
are
like
great
a wine
ideas. Keep them
tasting.
coming.
It's like an assignment. It's like a school assignment. You have to paint this, but
It's like a wine tasting where you have to guess what's the flavors are.
that's right. That's what's in it. That's great. So much fun stuff coming up. I'm glad we're going to be able to meet again in person sometime soon. I think our March meeting though is,
We are doing Zoom for the March 12th with the mentors. We were
Okay.
going to have the panel of mentors being able to talk about what they're looking for, tips and tricks for what captures their heart with art when they're looking at or critiquing art. And so we'll have an opportunity to gain some wisdom through our 5 or 6 mentors that will be talking at the March 12th meeting. And hopefully that will be the last one. I just don't want to make any predictions. We are planning to have our in-person show coming, the exhibition coming up, which is right around the corner in April. So hopefully we'll be able to put this all and have it at our back and just continue to move forward.
and then the May meeting will probably be in person if things continue to go well, but we'll do a hybrid so that people in Australia and New York and Portugal and other places can also join in our meetings. We'll still continue to have the hybrid option
Right.
for our meetings. Yeah. Yes, I get a thumbs up over there. Where are you coming from over there, Chris? Where do you live?
I live in Ventura or Thousand
Oh.
Oaks.
Thousand
Yeah.
Oaks.
It's a little bit of a drive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people do come from Thousand Oaks, but it's a little bit of a drive.
Yeah.
Traffic's been bad lately in LA.
Yeah. Traffic's been very bad.
So Chris, have you been working on something while we've been chatting away? It looks like.
I have, it's just playing around.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that what this is for today?
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna work a little bit, but I got too engaged in the conversation. But if anybody's working on something they want to share, feel free.
And well, David has been very busy, and I don't know if he's willing to show us or share with us what he's been working on. Go ahead and unmute, Dave.
I've seen some Instagram posts. and-
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes,
Can you hear
absolutely.
me? Okay.
Hey, good to see you guys.
Yeah, good to see you. It's been a while. I've been getting better and spending a lot of time doing dogs. So I'm deep in my knees with different breeds, but I can show you. This is what I'm working on right now. Let's see if I can flip it. Let's see. Oh, here we go. There we go.
Oh my
So
God.
this
God.
is
Oh.
Basset Hound. So it's a little distorted, but you get the idea.
Beautiful
But
ears.
that's what I'm doing right now. So I try and do about 2 a week.
Wow.
Just to post on Instagram, and then I take them into Photoshop and then I clean them up so that when I eventually get my website up, there'll be some prints. So that's what I'm deep into right now, is getting the website up, potentially a book, talking to Otto about it. So yeah, after COVID, it took me a while to get better, but this is what I'm doing. So every minute I'm spending on animals, a book, or a website. So that's where I am.
Dave, is it a how-to book on how to draw animals, or is it just a picture book of animals, or what is the core of that?
It's gonna be just a coffee table book about coffee tables. No, it's gonna be about just all the animals I've done for the past 6 years. I've got an archive of about 300 images. So I got to edit them. And I've spent like, oh my God, like 90 hours of just cleaning them up. If I got to look at these images another minute, I'm going to kill myself. But that's what I've been doing for like the past week and a half, is just editing. And hey, I appreciate the technology, because some of these drawings aren't perfectly in the middle. And thank God for computers, because you can just take the image, move it over, shrink it. I'm like, oh my God, what did we do before computers? I have no idea. So editing is, I'm getting good at it, I think. I don't know. So that's what I'm doing.
So David, is that a graphite that you're working in on that Basset Hound right now? Or is
Charcoal.
Charcoal,
yeah. Charcoal on newsprint. So it's not very archival.
Right. Dave, let's tell them about what we were looking for. We were looking for, because Dave does all this on newsprint, but it's not archival, right? So we found this guy, which is Lennox by Legion. So I think it's the one that it's fairly thick, but I'm gonna send Dave a pad so that he can try it out, because I told him he's got to get his stuff on the archival, get his stuff on some archival paper. So hopefully he likes it, but it's supposed to be really good paper. You can use pastel on it, by the way. So pastel, charcoal.
Yeah. That's what I was
a lot of people mount this on dye bond, and it's supposed to be really durable, really lovely. So it's kind of, when I touch it, it feels slightly velvety. So
is that a cotton rag? Is that a cotton based?
That is, I'll tell you right now. It is, yes, 100% cotton, acid free, and it's 250 GSM, which is the weight. It's got a nice weight to it. It's got a nice little weight to it. So I'm curious.
What's the name of the manufacturer?
It's Legion.
Okay.
I hadn't heard of it.
Yeah, this is Lennox. This is, I'm gonna hold that up.
Oh yeah.
Lennox cotton. So yeah.
I forget where we saw that. How we found that.
Well,
I forget.
Because we looked up something that was comparable to newsprint that was really nice and soft.
Right.
Right. And as it turns out, what's her name? Do you remember her name? She does a big icebergs and all these ice painting. I mean the iceberg paintings, and Zaria, is that her name?
Yeah, I think so. She does these massive, they're like what, 8-10 feet?
Yeah,
big?
she gets huge sheets of Lennox and mounts them on dye bond. And so she does she uses unisons on these things, and it's supposed to be really decent paper. So I'm excited to try it out. I'm gonna get you your pad because I just got the box in, so I'll send you a pad over. So
So Otto, what
Well,
is
hurry
the
up.
material that you said that you were mounting it to?
what's that?
What were you mounting?
Oh,
it to? You said
dye bond.
dye
Dye bond. It's a Brian Bailey. You guys familiar with Brian Bailey?
Yeah, I know Brian.
Brian Bailey, he mounts reeves. He mounts reeves
mhm.
on dye bond, and
It's kind of a plastic.
yes, but it's archival. And he mounts it with I can't remember what glue he's using it. Again, that's also acid free. And but again, you don't have to mount this to a dye bond, but that's if you're gonna work kind of like, make it a panel. So
I thought
can work-
the gal who did the glaciers mounted on aluminum.
that might be new, but when we messaged back and forth, she told me the place that would mount it. And
Okay.
yeah, so maybe she changed. Maybe she changed what she
No,
mounted.
that was a while ago.
Oh, that was a while ago? Okay, yeah, no, it's a dye bond, and she's in New York, and so the person who mounts it for is also in New York, and let's see, Brian Bailey's in New Jersey, and he's mounting it somewhere in New Jersey. So I'm sure there's a place here in LA that I can find out who mounts on dye bond. So
A lot of photographers mount photographs on dye bond now instead of mat board.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, Carol's asking dye bond. Yes, I think that's how you spell it. I'll look it up. Let me find out, you guys. Let me find out what it is.
And we just put that in the chat. That would be helpful.
Okay, dye bond, okay.
Yeah, just there's so many things that you guys use that are unknown
get.
to us here.
Hmm.
But if we order them from America, we do get them. So like, for instance, Lux archival paper has just arrived here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Beautiful
so everyone's
paper.
going,
Oh, love it.
yeah,
Love it.
okay, but everyone here's just going, what is it? How do you use it? So
Thank you,
yes.
Linda.
Carol, are you going to IAPS? Or do you guys have your own Australian IAPS? You did one year, right?
Yeah, our IAPS is the Australian Pastel Expo, and
Right.
it was to be on every alternative years to the IAPS.
Mhm.
So ours is on this year, but because IAPS with COVID is now on this year as well. So
Oh,
we're both on together.
Oh, I wonder, will IAPS go back to then?
I don't
2
know.
years? They'll
I
just be
can't
off.
imagine them doing it next year.
Yeah,
know,
they're gonna-
We're delayed a year, so.
Yeah.
Mm.
it'll be hard to get
Yes,
that
I-
thing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
no, I won't be coming over to IAPS because ours is only 2 months later,
Okay.
which is a shame because I would love to have been there. I haven't been there for so long.
Oh.
Oh, that's too bad. I was looking forward to seeing you.
Hey,
Yeah.
raise your hand if you're going. If you're going to IAPS this year, raise your hand. Or the expo.
Hmm.
Looks like quite a few people going. Yay.
Mm,
So
Carol, we'll have to Zoom with you from there then.
Yeah,
definitely.
we should
I
do
was going
that.
to go, but my son decided to have a baby that week.
Oh, look at that baby. Oh.
The heck with
that's
that.
good. All right, you guys have an answer for you guys regarding dye bond. And Chris, you are right. Dye bond is a brand name of brushed aluminum composite sheeting. It's lightweight and rigid. This cut plastic material, they call it, it's called aluminum composite, but it's this cut plastic material consists of a flexible polyethylene core covered with a thin aluminum sheet on each side and is finished with a high quality lacquer that guarantees perfect printing. So you can't print on it, but you can also mount on it. So it's lightweight and rigid, yeah.
I think you can paint on it. I think oil painters are also painting on that, if I'm not mistaken, unless it's just regular aluminum. Like Olga Cremon, you know Olga? She was a Rejoice in Art. She did a portrait of Abby. She paints on aluminum.
Oh, right.
I wonder if it's the same thing.
I wonder.
It sounds familiar, but anyway.
I wish to
And
get them
co-
as a sponsor for the society.
Pardon?
It would be nice to get them as a sponsor for the society and have some samples that we
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanna see how, you know what, I'll ask Brian Bailey. Brian Bailey will let me know how he mounts me. He does himself. So, I'll ask.
Okay. And he'll be at IAPS too, one of the instructors.
Mhm.
So we're working on editing the IAPS Globe magazine right now. If you guys aren't familiar with it, it's a glossy publication and it's going to be coming out in March. And then the convention issue will come out in June with all of the Pastel World paintings. It's such a beautiful magazine of everything happening in the international pastel world. So keep your eyes open for the Globe magazine. You can read it online, or you can purchase a copy, and it's just on demand. So if you want to buy it, if you like it, you can buy it. So I'm the editor for that, the copy editor. And I want to make sure everybody knows about it, because we used to have this little IAPS newsletter, which nobody read, I don't think. But now that we have this beautiful magazine, which really makes the artwork look beautiful, you might want to get souvenir copies. I'm definitely going to get a convention issue. It'll
Lynn,
replace.
do you remember that book that they were selling that everybody was signing? Was that a one-shot deal, or do they do that every 2 years? Every
Is that called Purely Pastel or something?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
that was a special publication. I think they will have something else this year for people to sign, but I don't think it's a coffee table book. Don't quote me, but I'm trying to remember, but they did talk about something that people will sign.
Oh.
And then instead of the souvenir catalog that you always got with your registration, the Globe magazine will replace that, and you'll need to purchase it this year if you want a hard copy. But that's okay. You'll pick it up at the convention.
Will the Globe magazine have all the paintings in it that are in the show there?
Okay.
And I think it's like $20. I mean, it's not really that expensive. It's a nice piece. So I'm looking forward to it.
So Pam, have you, you've been quiet all evening.
Yes.
Have you signed up for the Bill Cohn workshop? Has that come out? And
I did.
you did.
And
So
there
things
are
happening.
still spots available.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Is that the one where they go in the mountains and hike?
Yes.
Yes.
In the Sierras.
You did that, right? You
And
did that.
it's during Otto's Kern County Art Show. Darn it. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, it's still LA County, believe it or not. It's the northernmost part of LA County.
Okay.
Tehachapi is, yeah.
Okay.
Tehachapi.
Oh, Tehachapi. You're talking about that now. Okay.
Yeah. The main event falls on that week. So it would be too difficult, because we have to hang the show, and we have to be. I'm the juror for the show, so it's going to be tricky. I would have loved to have gone. I've been wanting to take Bill Cohn's class for a long time, and we were going to go, but pandemic had another. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but I'm excited because I showed the other day. Lynn and I went to Tehachapi, and I was showing her. If you guys look behind me, I finally got all my pastels with the wrappers off. I hand cleaned each and every single one.
Come on, close up, Otto. Come
Yeah,
on.
no,
I don't know
I was
if I
gonna
can.
ask you for
I don't know if I
close-up,
can.
yes.
But there are my
Wow.
boxes. This is based off of Lisa Ober, right? Lisa Ober.
Gorgeous.
She gets these boxes from the Container Store, and she used to get them for like $5, like $7 now. They're premium gift boxes. They're glossy. They're really rigid. And then I went out to Wayfair.com, and I got myself a twin memory foam mattress that's 1 inch thick. It was like $30, right? And out of that, you get 9 boxes. You get top and bottom.
So beautiful.
So it's just wonderful. I mean, I took these to Tehachapi, and no problems, no issues. So it's really cool. I can actually work out of my trunk if I wanted to carry all these pastels. But I set it up in such a way where, if you guys are familiar with Procreate, because I like to use Procreate, is when you go onto the color palette, and if you're looking at it, you have your lightest value up on top, right? Right, and a lot of artists do that, right? They put their highest values up top, the darkest values on the bottom. But the way I set it up, but I don't set my neutrals apart. Basically, I set it up like the Procreate palette, where I have it goes from the left, which is desaturation, right? To the furthest most right is the most saturation. So it goes from left to right, saturation, desaturation, and from and if you go up, vertically, it goes from highest value to lowest value. So the more you move to the left, you desaturate, right? So the more you move to the right, and saturation. So that's what you can see is one side is very saturated, and then and so forth. So it makes it much easier for me to understand it. So I don't know. I'm missing my brown box, by the way. Each one of these doesn't have the browns in there. Basically, I'm putting pastels in there that scream that color. So if it screams yellow or ochre, it's in that box. If it screams orange, it's going to be in that box. So anything that's brown will be in another box.
So how many boxes are you ending up with?
Okay, I'm going to end up with, let's see, I have 6 right now, 7. And I may, if an 8th box will be for when I'm picking my colors, right? And then I'll just put them back. But this seems to be the easiest way for me to work. I really, really like this technique. I know, oh gosh, what's his name? Sure, is it Aaron? Aaron Sure?
Aaron, sure.
Sure, thank you.
Aaron.
Aaron. He works from the lightest value in the center and then moves out almost in a color wheel. And he's very efficient that way. So, find whatever is most efficient for you and go with that.
Okay, so you slipped off all the papers and you have a mix of your softs and hards and everything in the same box?
Yes, I'm not worried about soft or hard or anything like that. Again, I don't use a heavy hand, so I work incrementally. So once you use pastels enough, you become very familiar with which pastel is which by shape, by feel, and so I become quite familiar with it. And the moment you lay it down on the paper, you immediately sense its hardness. So I by the way, I usually test because I work mostly in studio. I typically test the pastel anyway. I clean it and then I just do a side swatch, real quick, just a mark.
Just make sure.
Immediately tells me, what hardness it is, or so.
I think I saw that you had your darks over on the other side. You had a box of darks sitting over there.
I
To
do.
the left of you, behind you maybe.
Oh, behind me.
Yeah.
Oh,
there we go. Yeah.
Those are miscellaneous. Those haven't found a home yet. So.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Or they're probably extras, right? And then I have on the other side, I have my pristine Giro set. Oh, here it is. I have my pristine Giro set. Those don't get put in those. These stay intact in this box. So those are the Giros. That's my OCD palette.
I think we need to have a sorting party where everybody brings their pastels and we all sit around together and we sort all of our pastels like Otto did and make them look beautiful.
I would love that. I mean,
wouldn't that be fun? Because it's so boring to do it by yourself. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah.
We could have red day and we could do all our reds, and then we could have yellow day and do all our yellows.
Hey, if it works for you guys, whatever helps.
Well, we're getting close.
Well, yes, we are at time right now. I just wanted to, Lynn, thank you so much for bringing such a whimsical evening to us all. We need it. We need to get through what's going on, and for a moment, we got a chance to just really be happy as artists and be able to enjoy each other's company and be able to share some amazing ideas. Just want to make sure, check the chat before we leave if there was any information that got put in there that you might be interested in. We will hopefully be uploading this to the YouTube channel, so you can revisit with us and tell your friends that weren't able to make it this evening to join us. And I really hope that you will all engage and send in your paintings to the online jury show, your photos and everything, and help us have a really, really great show and become a participant in your 13th annual member show. And again, everybody think about Dasha and send her best wishes and a happy birthday. I was so glad that she was able to pop in from her solo show over in Las Vegas and say hello to us. So that makes it very special. And again, David, thank you. And everybody else that came in, from Carol, more tea. I'm going to stop the recording now and thank you, everyone.